everybody, and welcome to this episode of the Fandom Report. I'm your host, Kathleen Mora, and this week I'm joined by the lovely Hannah.
Yay! Thank you so much.
No, thank you for joining me. I'm so excited about this. Like when you said yes, I was like, oh my God, yeah. And I was like really hoping that, because when I invited you on, I was like, oh, I want you to come on to talk about episodes 3 and 4 of Hawkeye. And I was like crossing my fingers, like hoping like Yelena was going to make an appearance, and it worked out perfectly.
Yes, I had thought for like several weeks, because I know that things normally get like crazy around episodes 4 and 5, or like that's normally what has happened with the shows in the past. And I was like, maybe they'll sneak Yelena into episode 4, and then it happened. Like perfect timing.
Yes, absolutely. So watching episode 4, like we knew she was going to show up at some point, because like that teaser that they released that showed like the person in the mask with like the green eyes and everything. And everybody on the internet was like, oh, it's Yelena from the comics. And so I was like, okay, please be in episode 4. Please be in episode 4.
Yes. Oh gosh. And the fact that I knew that it was going to happen, like I knew whenever she was fighting with Clint, and whenever she was in Maya's apartment, and then Clint was like, well, then who am I fighting? I was like, nope, this is it. It's about to happen. Everybody shut up. Like, got so excited.
It's like that TikTok audio where it's like, somebody sedate me.
Somebody sedate me. Yes. That's exactly what was happening.
So, okay, so let's backtrack a little bit. So we're here to talk about episodes 3 and 4 of Hawkeye. So we'll come back. We're definitely going to come back to Yelena and that fight in episode 4. But let's backtrack a little bit to episode 3. What were your like initial thoughts after watching that episode?
The first one, and I feel like it's like the major takeaway from episode 3, is the uncle. That was a huge thing. Yes. Also, just like, I think the thing that I paid attention to the most, and especially like when I went back and watched it, like all the little references back to like the comics. Like I didn't notice the first time there were like their moving trucks or whatever. It was like Trust a Bro Moving Company or something along those lines. Like just the little things that like stood out to me. And but no, I feel like the big thing from episode 3 was like, who's the uncle, and like all
yeah. So and for those of you who are watching / listening to us, if you listen to this podcast before, have been on my TikTok, you know that I'm obsessed with the Netflix Daredevil, and really hoping that Vincent D'Onofrio will come back as Kingpin. We know that Charlie Cox is going to come back as Daredevil at some point. So that it was like not even a second where Uncle is like quote unquote on screen, and you hear him chuckle, and I'm like, that chuckle was 100% Vincent D'Onofrio.
It has to be. It's just, it was too, you can't bring in with the hand, like the big hand, and then like the black suit and the chuckle did us in. And I was like, you can't just do that and then not bring Vincent D'Onofrio in. Like it has to happen.
Exactly. And like the whole thing, somebody like I saw enhance that screenshot of like his hand on Maya's cheek, and they were like, I'm pretty sure that's like a cufflink on his jacket. And that was like a huge thing in season 1 with Kingpin, like the whole storyline with the cufflinks and everything. So I'm like, it has to be, and it has to be like either the Netflix Kingpin or like a soft reboot of the Netflix Kingpin. Like I feel like it's just after what happened with Evan Peters in WandaVision, I would be extremely disappointed if Marvel did discuss again.
Oh, absolutely. You can't. Marvel needs to write us all an apology letter for that. But that's a talk for another time. But like for real, they need to redeem themselves with this. And I think that, just with especially like Charlie Cox may or may not be in No Way Home, we figured that out in a week, which is insane to me. And then the whole possibility of Kingpin coming back, like
it's like I feel like Marvel's either, because here's my thing with like, we'll talk about WandaVision very, very briefly here, because WandaVision was originally supposed to come out like the finale a week before Multiverse of Madness. That was like the original timeline, but then COVID happened, everything got shifted around. So part of me is almost wondering if like Evan Peters will play a bigger role in Marvel down the line, if like the whole Ralph Boner thing is just because like they don't want to give away like whatever multiverse thing was going to happen like a year from now, all the way back in January or February, whenever that episode came out. So I get it, like things got shifted around, it happened, but I feel like they're also kind of like, well, we kind of got a lot of backlash after doing that. Let's not play any games anymore at this point.
Yes. Yeah. No more games.
No, we, especially with like, because in my opinion, the Netflix Daredevil is like the best Marvel show ever. Like I love WandaVision, I love Hawkeye, you know, all the shows are really good. In my opinion, like Daredevil was like the best show. You can't mess around with that.
For real. And I kind of feel bad because I'm like hyping up like, oh, the uncle and oh, Charlie Cox. But like, I've only seen season 1. I need to get on season 2 and 3. Like it has to happen. And especially because like you've talked about it so much and how much you love it. And then like you're not the only one. Like so many other people have said like, no, it is probably the best Marvel show because it's so like dark and gritty and just like different than all of the other like movies and shows and everything else that Marvel has done.
Yeah. Because the thing is with Daredevil is that it's very like, yes, it's very good plot wise, but it's also very character driven. And I feel like that's something that sometimes kind of gets lost with like the Marvel projects in general. Like it's a lot about like the action and the powers and the special effects. Like, and Daredevil, I think because it was like so grounded in reality, you know, besides the fact that it's, you know, a blind guy that can fight like a ninja, but other than that, like it's just very much like grounded in reality, and I feel like that's part of like why it worked so well.
I think that is a thing that gets like, if there's one thing that like I kind of have like a bone to pick with Marvel or anything, it is sometimes like the action-packed stuff kind of overshadows like the character driven moments, and like how there was like they did it a little bit in Iron Man 3, like kind of touching on like Tony's PTSD and stuff like that, but like I want more of that. I want more like character moments, like personal moments. That's why like episode 5 of Falcon and the Winter Soldier was one of my favorites, just because it was like domestic. You got to see them kind of doing their own thing. That's why in this episode, episode 4, like Kate and Clint like just messing around in the apartment and like just doing everyday normal people things. And just it was in being comic accurate Clint Barton, like that was so fun to see.
And I think that in episode 3 of Hawkeye, the car chase scene, I feel like they've got a really good balance between the action and like the character, like having it focus on the characters, because you know they have the whole like Kate and Clint can't really communicate, even though they kind of are communicating because he lost his hearing aid, and just all the commentary coming from like the both of them. I feel like it was an action sequence that really let their characters shine. And was also comic accurate.
Yes, I loved that whole scene. And then like the like upbeat Christmas music in the background, but it was still like almost like an action song at the same time. I don't know. It was the perfect song to put in that moment.
No, it was there, and they're doing a really good job of like incorporating the Christmas music into like the score, because I feel like every time they do a Christmas song, like whether it's in the car chase scene or like when Kate is like sneaking behind Armand to like the black auction, or when they like sneak into like Kate's mom's penthouse, like whenever they use like a Christmas song, it like just works perfectly with like the action that's happening. It's just so good, and it makes me wonder, like I really kind of hope that there will be like in the season finale or series finale, not sure if we're going to get a season 2, hopefully we will, but we'll see. That there'll be like a moment where it's just like total mayhem and action, but they have like Christmas music playing in the background. Like imagine like Deck the Halls or Jingle Bells.
And I feel like it honestly, like it fits the tone of the show too, because it's like it's Christmas time, and it like it's the equivalent of Kate walking in to Clint's apartment, and she has like pizza and all this party stuff, and then she's got like butterfly band-aids and like bruises all over her face. It's like it's perfect.
It really, like, they took the Matt Fraction comics and just like shoved Christmas in there, and it's working beautifully.
Yes.
Like I was even thinking about this when I was like rewatching episode 4, the moment where Yelena turns around and looks at Kate after her mask gets ripped off. There's like Christmas lights flashing behind her. It's like it's like a subtle detail, but it's still there. And it's like, this is very much like a Christmas show. And it's not overpowering the story. I feel like that's the thing that I was talking to a friend of mine. She's like, I'm not a huge fan of like Christmas movies or Christmas shows. Like, it's not my thing. But I was telling her, I was like, it's not really like, Christmas is an element, but it doesn't like overpower the story.
Yes. Yeah, it's kind of like the same energy that like Iron Man 3 had. Like it takes place at Christmas. To me, it technically is a Christmas movie, even though it's really not. But like it's still there. It's just not like overpowering, like you said.
Yeah, it's like it allows for like funny moments, like when Clint runs over the Santa
and he's like, "Sorry, Santa," and it just keeps going.
And but like the best part is like the Santa like pops back up.
When he pops back up, I know. It was so funny. That's one of my favorite parts. And then the fact that like she's trying to figure out the trick arrows, and she's like, "What does this one do?" And then like 20 Christmas trees just like kill the tracksuit's car like all at one time. And that was that whole sequence, once again, that whole fight sequence was so funny and so action-packed. It was great.
It really was. And then like I still found this a little bit funny, even though it was like a very serious moment. So in episode 4, when Yelena throws Kate like over the rooftop, and you think like, oh my God, she's dead, but like she's okay, she's just hanging there. And you have like the very sad, like heavy moment where Clint's, you know, essentially flashbacking to Natasha.
Yeah.
But when he cuts Kate's like the cord holding her up, she like lands on a bunch of Christmas lights.
Yes, I thought that was going to be like such a funny moment. Like when I saw behind the scenes pictures,
because that was one of the first pictures. Those were some of the first pictures released.
Yes, and that's how people were like, "Oh yeah, it's set around Christmas and stuff." I did not realize it was going to be that deep. Yeah, I didn't realize we were about to get a call back to Natasha, but you know, Kate landed in the Christmas lights, so that's wonderful.
Fine. She's fine. And like, I'm almost wondering too, like just on that moment, because it makes me wonder like how much people actually know about how Natasha died. Because like thinking about the Black Widow after credit scenes, like when Val goes to Yelena and says something like, you know, what this woman did for all of us. So it's like, okay, so people know she like sacrificed herself. But I've seen people kind of debating like whether or not people know like the whole thing about like Clint and Natasha, like how she sacrificed herself to save Clint's life essentially and save everybody else's, like if they know is like a whole situation like where they're hanging there, blah blah blah. Because then Val also says something about like the man, like how would you like to go after the man responsible for your sister's death?
I think that and like I definitely don't want to like overshadow Tony's death, because definitely not, because like Tony was one of my favorites, but I do feel like a lot of emphasis was put on, and like we saw it in like Spider-Man Far From Home, how it was just like Tony's face was everywhere. I mean, it was literally a line. It was like, everywhere I go, I see his face. But like, where was like Natasha's face? Like, was her face anywhere? Like, did people know about her? So, and I hadn't really ever thought about that, like, because everybody, and also because Tony was a celebrity, obviously before. Natasha was one of the Avengers, but honestly, like she didn't have the like star power that Tony had, I guess. But yeah, that's a really good point. But I
wonder about that though. I almost wonder about that because I feel like Marvel has been kind of inconsistent about like how famous are the Avengers. Because there's that one line that Yelena says in Black Widow. She's like, "I'm not the killer who's like on the cover of magazines."
The magazine? Yeah.
But then at the same time, Natasha, and I get it, she's like the Black Widow, she's a super spy, but she's walking through the train station and nobody recognizes her.
Yeah. And then that is a really good point, because there have been a lot of like inconsistencies about that, because there was like in Thor Ragnarok, I think, and it was like he gets stopped on the street and he's like, "Can you take a picture with us?" But like you said, that is that's a good point, honestly.
Right?
Kind of like a little plot hole.
And everybody knew, like, kind of knows who Clint is, even though he's also supposed to be like a super spy or whatever. It's like, okay, is that like a post Endgame thing, or is that like pre Endgame? But then people don't know who Sam is.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's like, okay, what? Because like, and also like in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, that kind of like goes back and forth too. Like some people recognize Sam, some people like know who he is, but like can't put their finger on like his name or whatever. So it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, that's a really good point to make, but it honestly, like it's gonna make me watch out for that a little bit more.
Yeah, really. It's something that's been bugging me a lot.
Yeah.
Because then, okay, because like then going back to like the whole thing of like if people know like how Natasha died, was Yelena throwing Kate over and like not killing her, but like having her hang? Was that like intentional, or was that just like a coincidence that like triggers like Hawkeye's PTSD? Like, what's the deal?
Oh gosh, I don't know, which like we only got to see a very small part of the conversation that Yelena and Val had in the post-credit scene.
Yeah,
but I wonder like what all she actually told her. And we haven't seen enough of Val yet to like know truly what her intentions are. I've heard like thunderbolts thrown around. I've heard like a couple things like that, but I don't know really what her intentions were. And I don't know exactly what she told Yelena. So if she truly was like, hey, this man two-hand shoved your adopted sister off a cliff, basically, then like which is what people think happened, but like we're not gonna get it for real. But I don't know what all she would have said to like kind of fuel the fire for Yelena, or if Yelena like figured some of this out, which goes back to, you know, how much do people know about Nat? Like,
yeah, because because I keep forgetting her name, but Kate's mom mentions Natasha too. She's like, Natasha was like really skilled and she's dead. And then she makes that phone call, was like, we have a problem. So I'm like, okay, who is she calling? Because you know her mom is definitely sus. Her mom is so sus. Is she calling Val? Is she calling Kingpin? Like, who is she connected to?
My first thought, which like this is probably completely like comic inaccurate, just whatever, off the wall, but like my first thought whenever like Kate walked into, it was in like episode 1 or 2, I forget which one, but like to her aunt's house or something, and like we know that you know, mom is sus, Eleanor is very sus, but I was like, is Val somehow like connected to her family? Like, I'm not saying that like she's the aunt, but I don't know why that was like originally my first thought, but I was like, no, probably not. Like, that's probably not the comics, like stuff like that, but somehow tied to the family and like the whole security thing. And
well, no, now that you mentioned the security company, I almost wonder if there is a connection there, because when Eleanor is like arguing with Armand, like we don't hear everything that they say, but the implication is that she says something like, I have powerful friends, because then he says, I have powerful friends too. We hear that part. So it's like Val would definitely be a powerful friend. Kingpin would be a powerful friend, but like, I don't know. It's sus. She's very sus. Like she's giving me Moira Queen from Arrow vibes.
I want to like her. I love the actress, like, and I love everything that she's done. I want to like her, but like, I don't know. She's too selfish, and I'm not saying she's like bad to Kate or anything. She's like literally all that Kate has, which is why I want to like her. I want to like her for Kate's sake, but like I just can't, because she's kind of shady.
She's a little shady. I know, I agree. Like, it sucks because like you said, that's the only person Kate really has. But I'm like, okay, maybe the Bartons can adopt her now.
That was the Barton home for Wayward Avengers. Because there was that, like, I remember everybody wanted like Clint and Laura to adopt the twins. Like Pietro would have lived, but like yes, unfortunately.
No, and I've definitely seen like a lot of fic, like before like the trailers for No Way Home started coming out, where it's like Peter Parker hides out of the Barton farm. He's being accused of murder. And I'm like, that's so precious.
It's so precious, but like it would, and it would work too. It would be great.
Once Yelena gets over her murderous campaign against Clint, like she's invited. She can come to the Barton Christmas. Like, it's gonna be great.
It's gonna be That would be a party. And like it would just be so unhinged too, because I know, and like I know that we're big proponents of this. We
Yes.
are actually, I'm just gonna pass away the second that like Kate and Yelena interact as like friends instead of like, I'm gonna throw you off this building now. The second that they like have like friendly conversation, I'm just gonna that'll be it for me. But then if you add, because I have been getting kind of the vibes, like just some of the stuff that she says of Peter Parker from Kate, they're two completely different characters, obviously. But like just especially like the mentor kid relationship that like Peter and Tony had, kind of get those vibes from like Clint and Kate. So I don't know, I feel like if you threw Yelena, Kate and Peter in a room together,
oh my God,
you were like, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
And it's like Clint's kids don't even know what to do. Like they're the most mature ones there, and the three of them are in a room just like having a ball.
Oh my God. No, it's true, because like, okay, so we saw how Kate is with Clint, like the whole like when Clint's like, I can knock someone unconscious from 20 feet away with this coin, but like Yelena like definitely knows like her own tricks, and Kate would be like, oh my God, like teach me everything.
Teach me right now. I already have so many headcanons for those two. One being, they're definitely like, and we saw this in the Black Widow post-credit scene, Yelena is a fashion icon.
Yes.
So is Kate. Okay. They go shopping. They go to thrift stores. They like, they just, I cannot wait for this friendship. I'm so excited for this.
No, but also like, I want Fanny and Lucky to like go to the dog park together. Like, please.
Didn't even cross my mind until then. The dogs, they're gonna walk their dogs together, and they're gonna have so much fun.
Yeah,
it's gonna be so pure. It's gonna be so pure.
Two fashion icons with their dogs is like just walking down Manhattan.
Duo, the most powerful. It just, wow.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. And then like also the whole parallel where Clint's like, the best shot I ever took was the one I didn't take. And then like 10 minutes later, you have Kate, like she's ready to take the shot, but she doesn't at Yelena.
Yes. Oh, the parallels kill me.
It's our new Black Widow and Hawkeye. That's what it is.
It truly is. It really is. Yeah.
Yep. I know. It's so, I'm very excited about these two, and I can't wait. Because if you think about like back in Black Widow, the first thing Yelena does, like when she sees Natasha, is like just have an all-out fist fight with her.
Brawl. Yes.
It's
brutal.
But it's like, oh, it's my sister and I love her. And the first time she meets Kate, she throws her off a building. So I'm like, I feel like that's just how she expresses her love.
It's friendly.
Yeah.
That's how she tells you she loves you.
Like just grabs her off the zip line and like smacks her down on the ground. It's like, yeah, you did something like that to Natasha. It's fine.
Like just drop kicks her. She's like,
best friend. Yes. And we know we're gonna see more of her. There's that one clip in like one of the new teasers that came out where she like has her hair down, she like like somebody throws a bottle at her or something, and I'm like, I'm hoping it's Kate. I'm kind of hoping it's Kate.
I really do.
She's just like, hi.
And I'm excited to see, like, once again, going back to like the kind of domestic setting, I'm excited to see like kind of casual Yelena and exactly how because like she hasn't had a life for ever. I mean, she's been like brainwashed and stuff. So I'm excited to see her kind of, not that it's going to be as like drastic as Stephen Bucky is, like the time jump thing, but like I'm excited to see her adapting. Yeah.
No, definitely, especially because like when she mentions in Black Widow, she's like, I never really got to make my own choices.
Yeah.
And now she's, you know, she's living her life, you know, she's out there killing people and murdering, and I love her. And I still love her.
It's what is the audio where it's like, I don't believe in murder. I do believe in the empowerment of women.
Yes.
Or the glorification of murder or something.
Yes.
But I do believe in the empowerment of women.
Yes, exactly. Those are my feelings towards Yelena.
Absolutely.
Yelena's baby. She can do no wrong.
Never.
No. Yes. And just thinking, it's stuck in my head now what you mentioned, Yelena, Kate, and Peter Parker, like all in the same room, like the
Yes.
mayhem that would occur.
Yes, especially after all of that, like after No Way Home, after Black Widow, after the Hawkeye show, they can all like, they can trauma bond, they can cry on each other, and then they can make cookies. Then they can watch Disney movies. And like
they can watch
Yelena,
Star Wars.
Yeah, they can watch Star Wars.
Yep.
Introduce you, but Kate definitely has that. Peter, we know, has seen it. Kate has to have seen it. Yelena has no idea. She missed Star Wars somehow. Like
she has no idea that Darth Vader is Luke's father, and that and Peter and Kate are like, oh my god, don't say anything.
No, it's gonna rock her world. Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh my god.
And her reaction is, the best part of this movie was fake, and no one told me.
When she finds out that Luke and Leia are twins.
The best part of my life was fake.
And pain and suffering is every day.
Yes. How am I supposed to live, laugh, love in these conditions? How?
I would pay good money to have Yelena say that.
Absolutely.
Oh my
goodness.
Oh my god, yes. But definitely Kate and Yelena are going to be a chaotic duo. Yes. And I'm here for it. Hopefully, you know, if we get a Hawkeye season 2, it'll be or Young Avengers or whatever it's going to be, you know, we'll have the two of them just doing total mayhem, and none of the adults knows what to do, even though they technically are adults.
Yeah, but no, completely unhinged.
Like that line that Clint says, he's like, it's unfair that your inability to act like a grown-up lets you get your way.
Yes. Yes.
And it's like, I can picture Natasha saying that to Yelena if she were still alive.
Clint and Natasha, and then like just like the whole legacy thing. But oh gosh, if Natasha were still here, it would the four of them would be like unstoppable. They would be such a duo kind of thing. And then I saw there was like a meme or something where it was just like this person, they were just sitting still, and it said, this is Natasha, and then it had this other person who was moving like so fast it was just like a blur. And it was like, it's Yelena. But it's the same thing goes for Clint and Kate too. Because whenever Kate got in the elevator and Clint was like, please don't do this, please don't do this. And she was like, I'm talking to an Avenger. And she was so excited. He was like, oh, what have I done? What have I gotten myself into?
Like, don't engage. She's like, oh, what do you have in here? You got some celery?
Yes. She's making casual conversation, and then she like scares the poor man off. And she's like, are you sure? I can get it for you. And then he just keeps walking.
And then also like the difference between their interactions with the LARPers, like Kate is totally embracing this.
I love that so much.
It was like, just kill me already.
I loved that so much. Because I wondered like how Kate was going to react to that. I knew that because one of my favorite parts of like the first episode was Clint being completely done with life in general, and how the guy was like, come on, kill me just this once, or let me kill you. And he was like, I'm done. And then Kate, like Clint comes in episode 4, and Kate has on like Viking armor, and she's like, look at me. It's the complete opposite.
And she's like, what? And like, but also like, so two separate things. I'm like very excited to see how the costumes turn out, because like we kind of see them in like the posters and everything, but like to see them fully and like however like the suit up scene is gonna go, like I'm very excited to see that. But also is that the cop, is she ever gonna get her bag back?
I don't know.
It's embroidered.
I know it's embroidered, and I was genuinely concerned about that. And Kate was like, look, I promise I will get this bag back to you, I promise. And I need, like, after everything's said and done, after everything's resolved, I need like a little clip of like Kate knocking on the door and being like, here's your bag back. And I don't know if I want it to be in perfect condition or if I want it to be like charred at the edge and like broken, or like one of the handles has fallen off.
Yes.
Or so.
Yes.
But I do need the bag to come back somehow.
Need the bag to come back. I need that closure, but I agree it should be a little messy, a little distraught.
Yes. And she's like, you can wash it. It's fine. You can wash it.
It's fine. He's like, because technically she only promised to bring the bag back. She didn't promise it would be in perfect condition.
That is true. And then if it's not in perfect condition, she'll be like, I'll buy you a new one when my mom turns my credit cards back on, I promise.
Oh my God. No, it's and I feel like it's little things like that make this show just so good. Yes. It's like, yes, like the story is great, like the whole like Christmas ambiance is great, and their dynamic together is great, but it's like those little things. They're just so perfect, so good.
Yes.
Like Clint and Kate wearing like the Christmas sweaters.
Yes. And then Lucky with the little reindeer antlers. Yes. Oh, and sitting on the couch. That was I know that we had like already seen that in like one of the trailers or something, but still when it happened, I was like, oh my goodness.
No, especially because it's like they showed that particular clip like right after Clint like flicks the coin or whatever. Yes. And Lucky just kind of looks over like, whoa. Like, did you see
even the dog is impressed.
Yes. And then
oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I love how and I haven't seen many people pointing it out, but like Lucky doesn't have an eye, and then like Clint's hard of hearing, and they just kind of like found each other through Kate, and I was like, that's so sweet, and it makes me so happy to think about that.
I love how much Clint is like, I love this dog. Like, yes. Like in the store, he's like, what do you want? Go away. But then like 5 minutes later, he's petting him. He's like, oh, you're a good boy. And he's like feeding him snacks when Kate's not looking.
Yes. Yes.
It's so pure. Cause like, I know in the comics, Lucky is Clint's dog until like Kate takes him to LA with her. Yes. But it's like when Kate says like, those are our arrows, I feel like that's their dog.
Yes. Oh yes. Joint custody of the pizza dog.
Yes.
I wonder when he's gonna get his name, like officially, when they're gonna be like, it's Lucky the pizza dog.
Yeah. If they get, I mean, yeah, because I feel like they have to, it would be so easy to make it like a very corny kind of moment. Yeah. And I feel like Marvel is going to try very hard to avoid that, just because like, you know, I feel like they're trying to move away from like their corniness that they had in like phase 1 and parts of phase 2. They're trying to go for a slightly darker theme, like more realistic and everything. But I'm like, how many ways can you really be like, you know what's the perfect name for this dog who hasn't had a name the entire show? It's Lucky. It's like, how do you do that?
Yeah.
It's just like pizza dog. It's a title of nobility. It's like, but what's his name?
Nobility. Precious.
He's such a good boy. Such a good boy. I love how like the pets are part of like everybody's favorite things about all these like phase 4 projects.
Yes, because there was Morris, and then Lucky, and then hopefully see more of Fanny.
Yes,
like just all the pets.
Alligator or crocodile Loki.
Yes, I was trying to remember. I knew that there was another one, but yes, the crocodile Loki was definitely a highlight of like phase 4.
Rip Sparky.
Not Sparky.
Keep Agatha away from Fanny and Lucky, please.
No.
Please don't let her near those dogs.
Protect the dogs.
Protect them at all costs, please.
Oh no.
You know, this just came to mind, but you know, it'd be really cute if like, I know it's probably not going to happen, but because Kate and Clint are getting like new costumes, if like Lucky got his own like costume.
That's so because I definitely think that Kate is the kind to be like, I'm gonna get him an ugly Christmas sweater. I'm gonna get like cute little dog clothes. If he had his own little, you know, like a fake, a purple suit with like a fake quiver on the back. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, she put
Precious.
antlers on him, so like, why
Yeah.
not? Yeah.
Why not? And he seems like a pretty go with the flow kind of boy. He
Yeah.
seems like he'd be a good boy.
He's living the life. He's so
Really
happy. He
is.
has 2 humans who love him and give him pizza
Oh,
and Cheez-Its and all the good things.
so sweet.
I
Oh,
know.
I love him.
I know. He's such a good boy. But yeah, that whole like Christmas movie night, Christmas sweaters
Oh,
montage was so
yes.
pure.
I
So I feel
love it.
like that's the Hawkeye equivalent of like Sam and Bucky building the boat. That was
Yes.
their boat
Absolutely.
building
Yeah.
excursion.
Yes. And the little like the small things that happen throughout it. One of my favorite ones, and the one, but just because this honestly sounds like something that like I would say, or like one of my friends would say, when she was like, boomerang arrows, they should come back to us. And he was like, why would that happen? Why
like,
would we do that?
Because they would come back at us.
And
Exactly.
that's the point. And she was so determined. Like she didn't understand. She was like, we could die. No, she was just wanted the arrow to come back.
She's like, no. It's like, I get it that we could die, but like, if you dodge, it'll be fine.
You just duck and it's fine. She's trying to problem solve.
Exactly.
It's fine.
When she puts the tree in front of the poster.
Yes, I was about to bring up, and she was like, "This is dry erase." And then she like tries to rub it off, and it wasn't. She's just so like down to earth and relatable.
She really is.
So fun. It's so fun to see.
She's like, I feel like people, I get it in the comics, like Spider-Man, his whole thing was that he was supposed to be like, besides the superpowers, Peter Parker is like very relatable, very, you can connect to him and everything. But I feel like in the MCU, Kate Bishop like just takes the cake. Like she is the most relatable, like chaotic Gen Z. She's perfect. She's an icon. We love her.
Yeah, I definitely think, and that's one of the things. She's definitely the most relatable. And then I actually like tried to compare her to, because I said that like they kind of reminded me of each other, even though they're like their own separate characters. But like while Peter Parker is relatable, I don't know, Kate just like is on a whole different level. And it might just be because we've seen like a little bit of the domestic side of things, but like the stuff that she does, and then she's also like kind of awkward, but still like has confidence and just kind of does her own thing and does what she wants to do. And I love that. And like the stuff that she says, like I like the trick arrows, and how she texts Clint like it's a good thing you're called Hawkeye and not Hawkeye. And just little things like that I would like kind of find myself doing, like picking at people, or drawing on something that is not a dry erase board and then trying to fix it.
Like the panic that comes afterwards.
Yes, little things like that make Kate relatable.
Yes, I feel like you're absolutely right. Like it's those little things, because it's the difference between like Kate and like other Marvel characters is that you can actually see yourself saying the same things, or like doing the same things. Like she's very grounded, like besides like like world's greatest archer and she can fight and everything, like, but if you took like her physical abilities away, just personality wise, as like I could be Kate Bishop, you could be Kate Bishop, like we are Kate Bishop.
Yes as goes like, the people.
Yes.
Not a play. We are Kate Bishop.
We are Kate Bishop. And like to see that energy combined with Yelena, that's just kind of going back to that that meme you were talking about, where it's like one person's just kind of sitting there still like, and the other person's like shaking. It's funny because like when it's Natasha and Yelena's the one that's like all shaking and everything, but I think when you put Kate and Yelena together,
it's both of them just
like.
And then I think I sent you there was a TikTok and it had like normal people playing Just Dance, and it was like Clint and Natasha just kind of doing their thing, and then it had Kate and Yelena breaking it down.
Yes,
they're like get into it. And that's so fun to see. I can't wait to see it.
I know. It's literally gonna be like everything is on fire and it's Kate and Yelena's fault. And Clint's just there like, why me? I just want to go home.
It's the scene from Iron Man 2 where she's like, Tony looks back and says, I think I did a pretty good job. And then there's like an explosion in the background behind him.
It's literally the same energy that Kate and Yelena have.
It really is. I haven't been this excited to see two people interact like since Falcon Winter Soldier came out, because, you know, Bucky's been like my favorite for since like I was a toddler, like for so long. And then seeing him and Sam interact with it just like made me so happy. And I feel like it's going to be very similar, like Kate and Yelena are going to be extremely similar, like to see.
Yeah, it's going to be like, you're right. It's going to be a similar dynamic where like, I feel like Yelena's going to be like deadpan a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Like Bucky is. You have like the two like Russian assassins. And then like the best friend who's just like, okay, let's go. Like Sam and Kate are just like, let's do this.
Yes, that comparison though. I actually, the rooftop fight scene, whenever she was like unmasked and then like kind of jumped off, I like immediately thought that reminds me a lot of like the first time we see Bucky as the Winter Soldier, because it's like he catches the shield and then he throws it back, jumps off the roof, and then just like disappears and you don't know where he went. And that's what Yelena did. And I was like,
you're absolutely right.
I got so excited, especially because like those two are my favorites. It was so cool though, just like thinking about that.
No, I didn't even think about that. It's true. And then you have like, you know, Steve and Kate who are both kind of like, what is going on? And they like look over the edge to like see where they went. And they're just kind of like, what? Who was that?
Yes. They have no idea at the time. They'll learn eventually, very soon.
They'll learn that that's their best friend.
Yes. Sooner than later. And then.
Yes. I
got so excited because normally it's like other people figuring out the parallels and stuff, but I was like, I did it. It was me. I figured out this one. Look at it.
Yes.
I got so excited.
Yay.
Yay.
I love it. Okay. So, besides like the rooftop fight scene, like what were some of like your favorite moments from episodes 3 and 4?
Goodness. The opening, or not like the very opening, but the first time we see Clint and Kate in episode 4, and they're on the little ponies, like
okay, in episode 3.
That's episode 3.
Yes,
sorry.
Yes. No, okay.
And they look like Patrick in the episode of SpongeBob where he's just on the little seahorse, like just doing that, and they're just like deadpan. And they hate their lives.
And you have the tracksuit mafia.
And they're like, yes, do it again. Enter another quarter. And then one of them asking Kate for like relationship advice. He's like, listen, I have my wife tickets, but she's mad at me.
She's like, well, on the bright side, you don't have to go see Imagine Dragons.
Yeah. And then he was like, wait, stop talking. Let me go get a notebook.
Yes. He's like, I'll get a pen. He's like, hold that thought. I'll be right back.
I'll be back. Just.
No, literally the tracksuit mafia is just they're gold. They
really are.
And I'm wondering how they're gonna make it work with Kingpin if he's like supposed to be uncle, like the guy at the top.
Yeah.
Like I can't really see him working with like these idiots.
No, that's probably because I know in the comics, Maya is like his adopted, or not like adopted, but like he kind of like a
foster
guardian
kid or something. Yeah,
something along those lines, which it would make sense. Like after her dad died, she would like go to him if that's like the route that they're taking.
Yeah.
But I would not be surprised if he was like, okay, you know what? Your dad was over them. You can be over them now. But it was like secretly like, I don't want to put up with them. Go. It's your turn.
That could be like like all the competent people got killed by the Ronin, and then Fisk is just like, you know what, you can take over this operation now. It's all you. I believe in you.
Yes, follow in your father's footsteps.
Yes.
Live. Oh my gosh, I hadn't thought about the interactions that like the tracksuit mafia and Kingpin would. I think it would be the equivalent of like the hyenas and Scar from Lion King, and how they're just, that's what it would be like, because they would be like punching each other in the face, and they're like chaos, and he's like, I'm surrounded by idiots.
Yes, it's like, why are you punching yourself, bro? Why are you punching yourself, bro?
Bro. They have to say bro every other word.
Cálmate, bro, pero cálmate.
Yeah.
When he starts yelling at his girlfriend or his wife or whatever on the phone, and that one guy's just like, cálmate, bro. I'm like, oh my God. But yes, Scar and the hyenas is 100% Kingpin and the tracksuit mafia.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
Thank you for putting that image in my head, because I will forever, even if it's like not true, I will forever treasure it, and like it is to me.
Just and hope that, you know, that one day it could be,
yes.
Even if it's not, and the picture is there, and that's, you know,
it's there. It's just Kingpin, just like, I'm surrounded by idiots.
That's so funny to me. Oh my goodness.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I didn't expect it to be that funny, and like I really did. Like I hadn't come up with that before, but like I love being a Disney fan, and well, like Disney movie fan, and then like MCU fan, and then like drawing parallels like this.
Yes.
Oh,
I love
wow.
I love it. Okay, I'm good. I'm getting it together. I'm good.
You're good. I'm glad that you enjoyed it that much.
I did. I really did. No, because I'm just picturing like the dark Netflix, not Daredevil, Kingpin, like just being like surrounded by the tracksuit mafia, and just having like the same like just deadpan, like I'm so over this attitude that Scar has. He's like, you don't understand. We're trying to take over the city. Like, stop being so stupid.
We have plans of world domination.
Yes.
And you are watching two archers ride ponies.
Yes.
Is this what's happening right now? How did I get put in charge?
But I mean, I doubt this will happen. But like, if you remember at the end of The Lion King, the hyenas turned on Scar. So that'll be interesting. Maybe Maya, I mean, if she gets her spin-off Echo, like she's probably gonna turn on Fisk at some point.
Ooh. Yeah, because that's happening too. And I'm excited because I can't help but like kind of like Maya in a way. I mean, which I get, there's like the saying or whatever that like every villain is a hero in his own mind or what, but like I understand that like from her viewpoint, like she's been hurt by the Ronin. I mean, like he killed her dad. I mean, so I don't blame her for wanting to get revenge. I don't like, I can see where she's coming from. Also kind of the same thing with Carly and Falcon and the Winter Soldier, like her mindset of like why she's the villain, like why she wants to, you know, do what she wants to do to the heroes, to like Sam and Bucky, or in Maya's case to Clint and Kate. But like just maybe talk it out, maybe sit down over a cup of coffee and be like, listen, like, because I do think, especially with the Echo like spin-off series, that she's gonna end up like kind of being more understanding of.
Yeah, but it's funny that you mentioned like the whole like the parallel between Maya and Carly, because then it made me think of like Kang or I forget the name of the Mobius's friend and in the TV, I forget her name, but like there's all these characters in these shows who are kind of essentially like, they're the hero of their own story, even if they're like technically the bad guy. So and thinking back to WandaVision, like there isn't, I mean, Agatha's not really, I guess she kind of works in that mindset. Like she's not really, there's no way to like really sympathize with her because like she's just like out for her own personal gain.
Yeah.
You could almost argue like maybe Wanda fits into that.
Yeah.
Into that.
Oh,
theme.
definitely.
Yeah.
Which I like, that's part of why I love these movies so much, is because you can like I said, I love like overthinking and like going so deep into this. And I was like, okay, well, maybe they're doing this because of this. But then I think like Zemo has been one of my favorite villains because he literally like he just sat back and like watched it all happen. But he was so smart about it. And he had like, once you know why he wanted to watch the Avengers like implode on themselves, like it was, I don't want to say like respect, you had respect for him, but you were almost like, oh,
like, you were like sympathetic for him
a little bit, which I don't know, that that's kind of me, like just very like try to see like different sides of things. So, but yeah, the villains, I love like trying to see what like their like motivations could be. That sounds kind of bad, being like, I want to know what the villains are but like just I think it's interesting. And I think that like Marvel villains are interesting, except for maybe Mandarin, but we will, which
that's another conversation.
That's a completely different thing. But like Zemo, like Loki, and then now with Maya and the tracksuits.
No, definitely. And I think especially when it comes to Marvel, like now, especially like the villains, I think it's important to consider their motivations because Marvel is making the attempt to not make these characters one-dimensional or two-dimensional, I should say. Like they're actually trying to give depth to them and like make you see that the world is not so black and white. Like you were saying before, like everybody is the hero in their own story. And definitely with Zemo, like and it's funny to me to think that if the Accords were, in my opinion, if the Accords were in place like before Age of Ultron, but like Sokovia still happened, like I don't know if Zemo would have like gone after the Avengers the way he did in Civil War. Because then there's like the whole like accountability system and like all like that, and that's like a whole conversation for like another time. But like it's funny when he's like, because then it ties into the whole like, you know, the motivations and the just the mindset of these villains.
I think that's what's so fun about like being in the fandom, and like you get what you see like on screen, you get the interactions with other characters, but like taking that and then like taking it to a whole other level, like outside, like with the headcanons and with the fics and stuff like that. I think that's so cool, and part of the reason that I like love this fandom so much. But the thing I said about the villain and like trying to like almost sympathize with them in a way, I can do that with everyone except for Dreykov. He was just the worst. He, not him. He is the exception. Definitely not. He was just a piece of garbage. He was the worst. But he didn't have like, his intentions were just like the worst. He was basically like, I don't like the females, and that was it.
Like you don't sympathize with Dreykov, but you can get into his like mindset that he's like, especially like when Natasha's like reverse doing like her reverse psychology on him, like you see like he's like this very like insecure, like just weak man in general, and that's why he does what he does. Like he preys on girls and women because that's how he makes himself feel more powerful when in reality, like Natasha says, like he has nothing. So it's like, even like with a character like as slimy as Dreykov, like you don't sympathize with him, but you can still like see why he does what he does. But we hate him for it.
Yes, definitely.
As we should.
There are definitely better ways to go about feeling better about yourself than imprisoning girls for years.
Like try the self-help section in Barnes and Nobles, maybe Amazon or something.
Have you thought of therapy, sir?
Therapy is great. Therapy works.
Oh goodness.
Yeah. And then like, because then, and I feel like that's like a very like phase 3, phase 4 kind of a thing, like making you understand the villains. Cause like thinking back to like phase 1, phase 2, the first person that comes to mind is like Killian, who was, you know, the fake Mandarin.
Yeah.
Or like he was like the Mandarin, but like not actually related to the 10 rings.
Yeah.
And you don't really like, his whole motivation was like, oh, like Tony Stark like humiliated me, so now I'm going to take over the world. It's like, that's so lame and weak.
Yes.
It's like, what?
Which is, that's kind of what Beck did in Far From Home. He was like, Tony Stark called me weak one time. No, or like Tony Stark was mean to me. Tony Stark fired me.
Yeah.
World domination.
Yeah. And I think there was like one thing where it's like Tony Stark said that he was like unstable, and I'm like, you're proving his point right now.
Oh my.
It's like you're kind of proving his point.
The fact that you're pressed about it means it's true.
Yes.
You're ruining a 16-year-old's vacation for your own personal gain, sir. Like, I think that you need to calm down.
And it's like, okay, say you get like the fame and the fortune, or like, you know, not really fortune, but like the fame of like being an Avenger or like a hero. Like, what happens when an actual threat comes along? Your holograms are not going to cut it.
Oh, goodness, no. It would be, which once again, I'm like drawing parallels to things, but like Gilderoy Lockhart from Harry Potter, where he was like, I'm the best, I'm so good. And then once it came to crunch time, he was like, I'm a fraud, goodbye.
Yeah, bye.
That would be exactly what Beck did.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So,
yeah, he'd just be like, I'm gonna bye. Use the holograms to disappear.
Yes.
Oh man. It's well, yeah, that would leads into like a whole other conversation to just like thinking about like the Spider-Man villains, which like the fact that that's coming out like next week. And
what the heck is that?
I know. And like just thinking about how Hawkeye episodes 5 and 6 like sandwich the movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're getting fed. I didn't even like, when was that? I think Loki was coming on, and then like Black Widow, I don't know, something was happening with that. And I was like, content constantly. And it was like, it was so good, but it's going to be so much to take in.
Yeah.
So much, especially with No Way Home, because like that, nobody's been, or at least in my opinion, like nobody's been that like pumped or excited for a Marvel movie since Endgame.
Yeah.
Like to this caliber. So yeah,
no, it's true, because like there was like all the hype for Infinity War, and then Infinity War happened and we're all like, oh, what? You just killed off like half of all the heroes. So then it's like, okay, Endgame, let's see what's gonna happen. And then after that, there definitely was like kind of like a decline in interest, because it's like after you have like the whole battle with Thanos, like how can you really top that? And you know, you have the Spider-Man movie that came out. Then the neck after that, there wasn't really anything for like the rest of the year. Then COVID happened.
Yeah, that was rough.
That was extremely rough.
In more ways than one, yes.
No, definitely. And you know, it's not the same, because there was like a lot of hype for WandaVision, like when it was about to come out, but it's not the same as like going to the movies and like being surrounded by other fans. We couldn't do that, you know, because that was like the height of COVID and everything. So I feel like it's a combination of, not only is it going to be like this huge thing with like the multiverse and everything, like I feel like at this point we know like Toby's going to be in it, Andrew's going to be in it, Charlie Cox is probably going to be in it too, but it's also the fact that we're getting to a point where like the world is opening up more, like the pandemic isn't as stressful or scary for like a majority of people as it was before. So people feel like they can get more excited about it now because they can actually see it in the theaters.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Because like when Black Widow came out, I didn't see it in the theaters. I paid for it on Disney Plus. So it's like, you know, slowly but surely, you know, I feel like people are becoming more confident about going back to the theater. And that's great, because I feel like this is, if there was a movie for that to happen, this is the movie. Yeah.
I'm glad that it's opening back up, and I'm excited for like Marvel premiere nights again, because those were just like, it's just a different, I tell people this like all the time, the night that I saw Endgame, it was like the opening night, like the Thursday night. And the theater I went to, there's like 3 separate little parking lots. There's like a little shopping center. Anyway, there was the big one completely filled up. The shopping center completely filled up.
Oh, man.
The one on the other side of the road completely filled up. And I was like, the little islands in the head from Inside Out, like the core memories.
Yeah,
that's one of them. And I'm not even being dramatic about it. That's definitely one of my core memories, was like just pulling into the parking lot and being like, oh my goodness, like this is happening right now. Like we've been waiting for this since the 6th grade, and here we are.
Yeah.
It was so cool.
Oh, wow. Yeah, no, for me, Endgame wasn't like, I was excited about it, but like I feel like everybody else around me in my town was like not excited about it. Infinity War was awesome. Like the crowd was like pumped and it was great. But I think the thing was that like I saw Infinity War in New York City and I saw Endgame in like my hometown. So I feel like that probably had something to do with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, definitely it was a time. It was a crazy time.
Yes, it helps to have like a good crowd too. Like if Toby and Andrew come on screen and the whole theater doesn't go nuts, what's the point? Why did like there better be like the audience reactions are some of the best parts of it.
Yeah.
Especially like big movies like Endgame, like when Cap got Mjolnir.
And do you know how awkward it was to be like the first person who was like, whoa, and then like it's kind of quiet, but then like some scattered applause.
Oh my gosh.
Awkward. I was like, how are you people not freaking out over this right now? This is insane.
Oh my goodness. No, I hate that was the experience you had. I was lucky enough to have such a good crowd, which like, I say this, and I know that like several people say this, Infinity War was the better movie, but Endgame was the better experience. And like wholeheartedly believe that, because like the crowd for Endgame was wonderful. Like it was so cool. But I hate that you were like, let's go. And then everybody around you was like, what is this? Like what?
Like, what's I was like, y'all, you guys are fake fans. It's fine. Like I had a great experience for Infinity War. Like when Thor came in with Stormbreaker, like the theater was going nuts. Like it was good. It was good.
Yes.
So I like at least 1 out of 2 wasn't bad.
Yes.
Yeah, but hopefully the experience for both of us for Spider-Man will be good. And it'll be interesting to see how and if it ties into Hawkeye at all. Yeah, because I'm just saying, you know, Kingpin, that's a Spider-Man villain. He's definitely Uncle in Hawkeye, you know, Daredevil. You know, let's make something happen here.
It's lining up so well. And I know that Marvel's very like strategic about when they release things, like how they kind of wanted like how they wanted like Multiverse of Madness and WandaVision to kind of, which didn't happen, but like and they had to like change the plots around and Ralph Boner, all that. So but like for this, I feel like there might be something more that they have, because they've kind of lined them up so close.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, if they hadn't released the first 2 episodes on the same day, episode 4 would be coming out next week, right before No Way Home. But instead they did 2 episodes in one day, which is like, they did that for WandaVision, but WandaVision was 9 episodes long.
Yeah. And the first 2 were like 30 minutes.
Yeah. They didn't do that for the other 2 6-episode shows, which is Loki and the Falcon and Winter Soldier. So the fact that they did this, and it just so happens that episode 5 is right before Spider-Man, episode 6 is right after. I'm like, okay, what do you guys have planned for us? Like, what's the connection?
Yeah.
So definitely have to make sure we watch the after credit scenes.
Absolutely.
for episode 5.
Yes. That's when they normally start like putting in the credits.
Yeah.
Like putting in the after credit scenes too.
Yeah, because I'm thinking, I don't remember when in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier that they had their first after credit scene, but I'm pretty sure it was like the whole thing with like John Walker like making his own shield.
Yeah,
I think that's what it was.
Arts and crafts with John Walker. Yes.
Imagine the YouTube video.
Oh,
DIY shield.
Oh my goodness. For real. John Walker is a topic that, like, once again, another conversation, another time.
Yes.
But like back to the whole like villain thing, like the
Mhm.
whole try to sympathize with him, but it's so hard to because he's such a slime ball.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. And they like try to redeem him in like the last episode, but it's like I'm still not I'm not there yet though, because all this other stuff, like, no.
no.
Oh, thank you.
Goodness.
Yeah, but I'm glad that it's not a problem we're having in Hawkeye. Like, there's not really a character I dislike.
No.
Like, no, like even like because we were saying this before, like the Tracksuit Mafia is so much fun, and Kazi's getting a little more screen time, and he's fun too.
I love when the comment that Kate made about like, okay, so Maya and the hot guy, what do you think they were talking about? And like, and I did back to like Kate and the things that we would say. Like my first reaction when Kazi came on screen was, oh, he's kind of cute. Yeah. And then Kate, like a couple minutes later, was like, so Maya and the hot guy.
Yes, she's just so relatable, and I love her. I love her so much. And the fact that she's like, they're just strolling through Washington Square Park, walking the dog, and like they're just talking about, like, okay, these people who are trying to kill us, but he's hot.
But he's attractive too. So we have to take that into consideration.
Yes. It's very important.
What was it that whenever like the whole fight scene was over with, and then like Clint's hearing aid was broken, and Clint they were on the bus, and then Kate was talking about like, oh, we've got to walk the dog, and then he says something else, but then he like a couple seconds later just goes, we've got to walk the dog.
Yeah. No, Kate's like, I know exactly what scene you're talking about. She's like, we gotta walk the dog, and Clint's like, you're not wrong. Oh, but then he's like, you're like calling yourself the world's greatest archer. Like, she's like, oh my god, do you really think so? And then we gotta walk the dog.
Like she was so hyped up because Clint, he just called me. And then he was like, we've got to walk the dog. They're communicating.
I know the part where like they're saying like the same things like in the car. He's like, if you turn it around, he's like, maybe if I turn it around.
Yes.
Like, hey, we're communicating.
I love it. I love little things like that.
Where she keeps referring to herself as like Clint's best friend.
Yes, partner. And then she gave them like, or at least gave Clint a code name. I forgot what it was.
CB1.
CB1, that was it. And she was like, CB1 had to use the bathroom. And then, so we stopped by.
It's like, no one ever calls me that. She's like, I'm just trying it out. That's like what makes it even great. When she like comes back at him, she's like, I'm just trying it out. Like,
oh my goodness.
Yeah. They ended things on like rough terms in episode 4, and like I get where Clint's coming from, but I'm also like very much looking forward to Kate joining him for the Barton family Christmas, because if that doesn't happen, I'm going to be pissed off.
Yes, you can't just and I'm ready to see like how she kind of like gets back into it, because Clint did kind of pull the I am an Avenger and you better listen to me card, and said like, don't come back, like this is pretty big now. Because obviously like Kate doesn't know who Yelena is, but Clint said like he obviously knew that it was a Black Widow because of like the widow's bites and everything, which that was cool. But like he knew that. I wonder if he like already knows. Surely he doesn't know who it is though. Like they're I don't know if Natasha, because they were really close.
Yeah, I mean,
but
because I'm not 100% sure, because like, and I know Black Widow came out after Endgame, but like that whole bit where they're like, did she have any family? And they're like, yeah, we were her family. So like makes me think that they don't know about Yelena or her parents, but you know, Clint, you know, always knew more about Natasha than anybody else. So I don't know. I mean, it would definitely be a great moment to see on screen, like when he realizes that that's Natasha's sister.
It would be absolutely heartbreaking, but it would be so cool to see like the character moments, like them literally just sitting there and talking about, like the whole fandom would be in tears, like just them talking about like Natasha and how great she was, and like how great she was as a friend and a sister, and then like just how Natasha was.
Yeah, especially because like you can see that Clint has survivor's guilt. Like he totally has survivor's guilt. It's one of like the underlying themes of like his character in the show. So I feel like there's no better way to like resolve that than like having Yelena come in and having him confront that. And I feel like that would be the way that like Yelena kind of like, all right, maybe I won't kill you.
That's another, like, I don't understand. I was kind of one of the Clint apologists, because everybody who like just disliked Clint and hated him, and they were like just hated him because of what happened on Vormir, and I was like, he didn't, you know, the part on there's like Lion King bloopers or what, we're referencing the Lion King a lot.
I know.
Everything's going back to the Lion King for some reason.
It always goes back to the Lion King.
But like Rafiki takes Simba and just throws him off the cliff. That's what people act like. That's what people think happened at Vormir. Is Clint just took her and threw her off the cliff. But like no, like he tried to jump. Like he tried. I'm not saying, you know, it shouldn't have not been Clint. I'm not saying it should have been Clint. That's just a hard situation for anybody. But like knowing that, like I mean, he tried his best. He really did to stop her.
No, it's funny that you bring that up, because so my whole thought process with that was like, I was definitely one of those, like, it should have been Clint people, but my issue stemmed more, not like the character himself, but like the writer and directors, like their whole approach to like why they chose to save Clint over Natasha. They're like, oh, well, Clint has a family. And I'm like, well, so did Tony Stark. That's not a good reason.
No, that's definitely a thing. That's definitely,
that's like where my issues of that whole situation come from. But like you also understand, like for Natasha, her whole thing was like, and it also is like brings her story like full circle. Like Clint saved, you know, quote, like technically like saved her from that life. Like he helped her get out. So she's kind of like repaying the favor in a way, like saving him so that he can go home to his family. So like it works for her story wise. The reasonings that like the studio gave us like are no good.
Like, because like the whole family part about like, no, Clint had a family, and then like so did Tony.
And technically so did Natasha, even if we hadn't seen her movie yet, like so did she. And if the implication is that like her family was all dusted, so why didn't she get to see them again after they reversed the snap? Like, come on, it's not a good reason. It's not a good reason.
As much as I love Marvel, and as much as I love these movies, there's just like little things like that that I'm like infuriates me.
Yes, it's like, I recognize the council has made a decision. But given that it's a stupid decision, I can't ignore it. I can't ignore it when you keep reminding me that Natasha's dead like every 5 minutes in this show.
Every 5 minutes of all the things, like Eleanor literally started off saying like, hey, Clint, remember Natasha? Don't let that happen to Kate. And he was like, okay, perfect. Thank you. I'll try not to.
Like, thank you for that. Or like when Maya asked like who killed Ronan, and he says Black Widow. I was like, okay. And then Maya's like, oh, so the person who killed Ronan is dead. Like that's super convenient. I'm like, we know she's dead.
We understand.
We know. It's like, we know.
We understand. We want Natasha. We don't want Natasha completely gone. We want references made to her, but we don't want to have to watch her death scene and be reminded that she's dead.
Literally, when they replayed Okay, so like every time that they replay like the music from when she dies is like, so the first time watching Endgame, and when that scene happened, I immediately recognized the song from when it played in Infinity War and Gamora died. But now it's become Natasha's song.
Yeah.
Because like they keep, especially in episode 4, they just kept reusing it over and over again, like when he's remembering her, and then when he looks over and Kate's hanging off the side of the building, and they played that. I'm like, you guys are going way too far. Way too far.
I know. The parallels kill me. Absolutely kill me. And another, speaking of parallels, and the roof, I could be complete coincidence. Yelena's hair, and the braid looked a lot like Natasha's when they first meet together in Black Widow, and like are having a sister fight, you know.
Yep. Yeah.
Their little
loving
sister brawl.
Yes.
Yeah. But
absolutely.
But I saw that and thought, oh, the parallels to Natasha here are just like, they're everywhere.
And then when you think about, I saw some people saying like, oh, maybe Natasha dyed her hair blonde to like, you know, for Yelena, even though Yelena wasn't like dead yet, but like still like to kind of have that connection to her sister, like with the hair and the vest.
Yes.
Here's a question: does Yelena ever get her vest back? Because Natasha didn't take it to Vormir.
No, oh my goodness. That would be okay. I genuinely want to know, just because like funny, like happy terms, like it's Yelena and her vest, so cute. Like we love the vest.
Yeah.
But then you know the story behind the vest, and you know that like she gave it to Natasha and now Natasha's dead. And you're like, what did like, does she get it back? And if she does, is it like, here's all that's left of your sister, basically. And it, like is it ruined for her now? Like, I know, that's so sad to think about.
I know.
But like I low-key want her to get her vest back, because she was like, did you know that this is the first piece of clothing I ever bought for myself? Yep. It was so sweet. Yep. So,
and then like you said, like it's a piece of her sister that she'll have back, because you know, we saw the first time we see the vest is when Natasha's wearing it in Infinity War. You know, it was Natasha's vest, but now we know it was actually Yelena's. And so knowing that like she had that with her while she was on the run, so I want her to get her vest back, because then that's like something that she can share with Natasha, not just the braid, although the braid thing is like adorable.
It's so sweet.
It's so sweet.
The braids.
And then just like going back to the whole parallel about like Clint being like the best shot I ever took was the one I didn't take. Then having it basically, you know, having the next generation of Hawkeye and Black Widow just right there in front of us.
Doing the same thing. Oh, I'm gonna throw up. I love it so much. Yes. Oh my goodness.
So it's so pure. It's
so happy.
Pure. I know. Although thankfully it doesn't seem like, because Clint was like, oh, you know, I could tell that like she wanted out of the life she was living. It thankfully doesn't seem that Yelena's like doing anything under duress. So
yeah, that is true.
There's that.
And Yelena at the moment, even though we might not want her to like go after them, it's back to you have to like understand the characters and like their intentions in the moment. And at this moment, you know, she killed one of the only people that I was ever close to that I considered a sister. Like they killed, or not they, but like Clint killed Natasha, and like that's all that she knows about it. Yeah. So yeah, in that moment. But like I said, they need to have a good long talk and talk it out, and then they can be buddies.
Yes. Oh my God. I'm very excited about them being best friends. Like it's gonna be, and if they don't give it to us, then we'll just have to make our own content about this.
Yeah, we will.
We're gonna do it.
For real, like when was it? Like this summer, I remember it was like the first time that we ever like kind of connected and like made stuff together was like duets of videos of like Kate and Yelena, and the one where like it was Florence Pugh talking, but she was like, and don't you dare say you have plans, move the plans. And it was like Yelena trying to plan something with Kate after she decides not to murder her and Clint anymore. Yes. Stuff like that. I need to see it.
And the thing is, that's like, I feel like that's totally the energy. Like that's totally the energy. It's like the slightly when, and I feel like it's the same dynamic that like Clint and Natasha have when it's like you're like a skilled archer, but you know that your Russian assassin best friend could like totally murder you,
destroy you. Yes.
It's like always feeling like that's your best friend, but you always feel slightly threatened.
You're a little bit worried. You always want to keep one eye open.
Yes.
Because they are still trained killers. Yes.
It's great. It's great. Oh, they're so lovely. I love them.
The parallels between Kate and Clint and Natasha and Yelena are, I love them so much.
It's a beautiful thing. And I feel like I'll say this too about Kate and Yelena. I feel like this is a good, not I guess supplement is the word I'm looking for, because we always wanted to know like what happened in Budapest and like how Clint and Natasha met, and we got a little bit of that from Hawkeye and from Black Widow, the show and movie respectively. And I feel like Marvel is kind of giving us a different version of that, because like, you know, we have the parallels between the two duos, and so we kind of do get to see a Hawkeye and a Black Widow meeting and how their friendship forms and everything, like from the beginning.
And that's cool to see, because I know for the longest time like nobody knew what happened in Budapest, and everybody there were like fics about what happened in Budapest. I've seen posts about what happened in Budapest, but like to know that it was literally just like Natasha and Clint bonding in an event for like 3 days straight was, and there were like they played tic-tac-toe, they and then Clint like actually being in the vents is like canon now.
It's
like
canon.
It has to be, because I know that was like a big like 2012 Avengers like domestic
Tumblr.
Yes, peak Tumblr was like the domestic Avengers phase. But just kind of seeing the friendship form between the Black Widow and the Archer that like we didn't get to see as much of like with Natasha and Clint, like that'll be fun to see.
No, definitely. And I am grateful to Marvel for giving that to us, but please don't screw it up. Don't hurt me. I'm like trusting you, Marvel. We're trusting you with this. Like, please, like just give us something good.
Yes.
Yeah, because if those two, because I know like we're all convinced that like Kate and Yelena are going to be best friends, but like if for whatever reason Marvel doesn't make them best friends, I'm gonna just live in denial. Like,
what I know for real, like I know that like I sent like this entire year I've been like they're gonna be best friends, they're gonna go shopping and make cookies and watch movies, but like what if they actually just hate each other? What if they like never get over it and like just genuinely cannot stand each other, and then we're just like, oh no.
Then we'll just treat it the same way we've been treating like Tony's death and Natasha's death. Like it's there, but it's not real.
It's not real.
It's not real.
Definitely not.
No.
I hadn't even, the possibility hasn't even been in my mind that they like just might not be the best friends in the entire world. It's just like it's going to happen, and that's the only option that there is. There has not been the possibility of like they hate each other.
No, it's true. And like it's like that audio, the Yelena audio. It's like, you mean to tell me the best part of my life
is fake? That's gonna be that. Oh my goodness, that's the only reaction that is appropriate if they don't end up being best friends.
No, it's Marvel. All I'm gonna say is you've been warned. This is your only warning. Give us Kate and Yelena best friends with their dogs. And that's it.
There's so much potential. There really is.
Well, that's it for this episode of the Fandom Report. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and thank you so much, Hannah, for joining us. Are there any other like theories, thoughts that you have about the show before we sign off?
I think we covered a lot, actually. Like basically all this, so many thoughts. Thank you so much for having me. This is like first time little old me's done anything like this.
Oh,
so
no, thank you so much for joining. Like, definitely, like when I was like, all right, I'm gonna like bring the podcast back, I was like, I have to bring Hannah on. Like, I like, you guys, if you're not following Hannah on TikTok, like, I don't know what you're doing with yourselves, because her content, like, it's one of the TikTok accounts that like I genuinely love so much. Like, she's so great and she deserves like all the love. So definitely go follow her if you have not already. I'm gonna put her link in the description box below. So make sure you click that link and you hit the follow button, because Hannah is amazing. And thank you so much for joining us on this podcast.
You're the sweetest.
You're the sweetest. All right, everybody. Again, thank you for joining us in this episode, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye.